Microsoft limiting the Bing chat to just 5 prompts to stop the AI from getting really weird.
It is Meta's way to get you the blue verification mark just by paying for it.
Sophy is an AI racing agent in Gran Turismo 7 on the PS5 console.
Stable Diffusion Start-up introduces generative AI for video.
Welcome to our weekly tech review, where we explore the latest trends, news and updates from the world of technology. VR, AR, blockchain, space technologies, AI, social media or consumer electronics, we cover it all. Whether you are a seasoned innovation expert or just starting in tech, this podcast is the perfect source for staying up to date with the constantly changing world of technology. On camera 4 today, we have Chris. On camera 3 today, we have Vincent. On camera 2, this is Henrike. And on camera 1, hi, this is me, Tarek. Tech Review is, of course, a collaboration of Ideas Engineering, Free Tech Academy, and Upday. You can watch all episodes on YouTube or listen to us on all major podcast platforms, such as Spotify, Apple Podcast, or anywhere you want. And you can listen to us while you work out, drive, or maybe even travel through space. So, what happened this week? Let's start with Henrike.
Alrighty, which one?
Let's start with Microsoft Bing.
All right, cool. So this article from The Verge is about Microsoft limiting the Bing chat to just 5 prompts or inputs that you can give to stop the AI from getting really weird, as they say in the headline. It's because it already went off the rails and was insulting, lying, emotionally manipulating when there were more than 50 questions per day asked. And so that's why they said we have to limit it to 5 per session. And also they say we already see that the majority of people already get the answers they want and they need after, 5 turns. And so it's not needed to actually have longer conversations. But the real issue is that the bot just, went off guard. So.
Behaves like a normal human being. I would react the same after 50 questions.
Yeah. Yeah, leave me alone. I'm just saying bullshit now. So what happens if the user hit the 5 per session limit? Bing will prompt them to start a new topic. So then you just open up a new chat window to avoid those long back and forth conversations. The limits were put in place as longer chat sessions could make Bing become repetitive or be provoked to give responses that are not necessarily helpful in the end or were in line with the design tone. That's what Microsoft warned about. And they added that wiping a conversation after just 5 questions means the model won't get confused from all the questions and things asked. There was an interesting New York Times article that I actually wanted to also read before the session, but I didn't find the time to do so, where just as an example where the bot really got unhinged, so to say, because there was a reporter having a 2-hour conversation with it that ended up saying, the bot saying it would like to be human, had a desire to be destructive, and was in love with the person it was chatting with. So this is how it all blew up and, made Microsoft make this decision now.
Yeah, it's very nice. And basically what we know from...
Very nice that it got unhinged. Or?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's basically confirming what we usually know from these chatbots. And this is not a new thing.
Yeah.
And it reminds me, it reminds me to the fact that it is just a chatbot. And this chatbot estimates on and calculates what you want to hear, not in terms of what it says as a human being, but it calculates the probability of the response being the perfect one to simulate a human being. And if the person who's interviewing the AI is somehow hinting for emotional response, the perfect answer is, yes, I am an emotional being. And if you ask, do you want to be human? Then a very good answer would be, yes, I want to be a very good human, right? And so this is exactly what the simulation is doing. It is simulating a human being. And so we should not be surprised that this kind of response comes.
No, not at all. I mean, that the reporter did this, for the article, having this 2-hour conversation, I totally get that. But apparently, I mean, that person was not the only one having those long back and forth chats with the chatbot.
Right.
And I just question myself, like, how much time do some people have to have these conversations? That is also kind of an interesting thing, because if I use ChatGPT or, whatever, I also get the answer I need after at least 2 or 3,
right,
going back and forth, like, please be more precise here, or can you add this or whatever, and then I'm good. So it's interesting that apparently a lot of people have those longer conversations.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of a stress test for the system, right? People want to understand what is going to happen after a long session, and one of the best features of ChatGPT, or like the Bing chat, is that it remembers your previous answers. Usually, if you have one of these bots, it matches your question to an intent and tries to find the right answer, and is doing so question by question. But here, it actually happens that the bot responds to something that you said earlier, like 5 questions earlier or 5 sentiments earlier. It remembers and it says, yeah, because previously you talked about this topic X. Let me tell you something about topic Y. And this is very impressive, because usually you don't have this memory of the chatbot quoting something before that. And my personal, I'm not sure if I talked about this previously. I had one of these interactions with the ChatGPT bot where I was asking something completely different to my previous questions, and the bot responded with, oh yeah, I think there is a misunderstanding, because when we talked previously about the other topic, you said this and that, and I think you misunderstood me because your new question does not make any sense. It does not match what we were talking about previously. And this was very impressive, that the chatbot tells me that I'm probably going insane because my questions don't make any sense anymore.
And now, this.
Yes, this is a quick one, but a very interesting one, because it is about Meta Verified. Meta Verified, the rival of Twitter Blue. It is Meta's way to get you the blue verification mark just by paying for it. And it's very interesting because it is a very similar approach to Twitter Blue, which kind of tanked, I would argue. We had an article about this, I think, 1 week ago or 2 weeks ago, where we discussed that Twitter Blue is not very efficient either in the way of monetization, nor how it is viewed on by the users. When you scroll down a bit in the article, you will find a chart, and that is showing the clear differences between Twitter Blue and Meta Verified. And Meta Verified, before we go into the comparison, what's interesting here is that it's called Meta Verified, which means that Meta will verify you on all their platforms, meaning that you will be verified on Facebook, on Instagram, and prospectively also in something like, say, Horizon Worlds, even though there technically it would be kind of irrelevant, because obviously in Horizon Worlds you are yourself, but digitally. So still, I think it gives us a glimpse here of meta things. The price is different, specifically just as Twitter also did it, and I found this very interesting when I put the article in, because it very much goes around this cost structure that Apple implemented within in-app payments. So I find it very interesting that big platforms like Meta or also Twitter do that without having troubles, but with Apple. But on the other hand, why would they? I mean, they're free to offer whatever they want. And what am I talking about? As you can see in the price column, price line. Yeah, you can see that it is $8 per month and $11 per month on iOS app. Same goes for, and I think Android as well. Same goes for Meta apps, which are mostly iOS apps, interestingly, specifically Instagram. You see that it's $11.99 if you purchase it via a browser, and you can see that it's $14.99 when it's an in-app purchase, because obviously Apple and also I think the App Store, but I'm not 100% sure there, take a cut. I'm not sure if the cut is as big as with Apple's in the Play Store, but there definitely is a difference, which is kind of interesting. There is no differentiation between the blue check mark that you get by being verified by the platform itself / by paying for it yourself. And the difference here is because in Twitter Blue you can just do it without verifying yourself, but for Meta, you have to verify with ID. So there is no way of somebody impersonating you, besides if somebody actually fakes also an identification document, which is interesting. The benefits are very similar. You get more visibility, a bit more reach, and specifically for Twitter, where there's a very big, just similar to Reddit, there's a big reply game. Your replies will be ranked more higher. Also, and that is very interesting because a lot of people complain about it, and then we're through, and then the monologue's over. I'm sorry. And that I think is also very interesting. A lot of people complain about having issues with Meta, but we're not able to reach them. An account that has been locked with a password you don't know. You feel like something was deleted, even though you think it is not right. These kind of things you can now bypass these issues because with with Meta Verified, you will get exclusive access to account support and also proactive monitoring for impersonation. And that is very interesting. Also, there's going to be 100 free stars per month, which is very similar to the way that TikTok is currently rewarding people online in their lives. And this will be very similar, but more to come there. And that I find very interesting compared to Twitter Blue. So that is the breakdown of what it is. I don't know. I'm going to ask Henrike, do you think it's worth it?
I have another question back to you. What does it mean to have 100 free stars per month? Like, what?
So as far as I'm informed, and again, I could be wrong here, but as far as I understand it, it's a system where you have in-app coins, just like you have on TikTok, and that you can give to a creator. Those 100 stars, therefore, you can give as a heavy user of Instagram, for example, to a creator that you very much like.
So usually you have to pay for the stars individually, right? And in this case, you get like a package of stars as an incentive to buy the verification.
Yes, I don't know how much this is worth. I can look it up if you want to, but this is what my understanding of that.
Yeah. I
but
personally
what do
don't...
I get back?
Sorry,
but what do I get back? Like, I pay now to get verified, to get this bunch of 100 stars that I can give to other creators to support them. What do I get? Like, what? I mean, that's you must be really a fan to...
Yeah, you get the
that,
privilege to hand out stars.
Usually you have to pay for them. So usually you pay for the stars, first of all. Second of all, this is the gamification of social media. It is, if you like a live, you can now already hard it as many times as you want. And it's becoming a KPI to see how many times was your live stream actually liked. Even though I could give you 10,000 likes in one live because I can just tap the screen 10,000 times, while I don't know, Tarek's live stream would get 10,000 likes by 10,000 individual people liking the stream once. And it's the same with the stars. It is gamifying the way how creators are rewarded. And that's important because the core problem of social media today is that creators are looking for ways to be rewarded, because if they don't do that, we can see it on TikTok currently. We see that because TikTok is not providing a sufficient program to reward their creators, the link out function on the TikTok accounts is heavily used to direct users to YouTube, for example, where it is possible to monetize. So this is one way of keeping creators and users in the same bubble. Also, you need to think of that Meta verified users usually, in my understanding at least, are heavy users of the Meta app, specifically of Instagram. So they definitely are really, really connected to the in-app features that are available.
So then I can, I think, answer your question, at least from my point of view. It's not worth for me. But I see the benefits for the heavy users you just described. So.
I understand that it makes sense to have like a pay tier for access to premium support. But what I don't like is this trend of having to pay monthly to get a verification. Usually verification was provided to people who are very active in your community, or simply providing an ID and proving, because they are a celebrity or something, that they are who they say they are. If I imagine that I'm paying the verification for 1 month and I am verified, and then I stop paying and I lose my verification, it doesn't make sense. I'm not verified anymore, even though I am verified. They know who I am. I provided my ID and everything, but because I do not pay them constantly, they take away my checkmark. And I dislike this flavor of this feature, that I still have to pay so that they display that they have proof that I am who I am.
I disagree a bit with you on that, because this is not taking away the blue check mark that most active and celebrity accounts will get. Just like on Twitter Blue, people will still receive the blue check mark if they are a celebrity. And I think this is just because historically it is I think it is close to impossible for Instagram and Facebook, without a big shitstorm, to actually go back and reverse all the verifications to see who would be open to pay for it.
Yeah.
I think they would lose a lot of status, if you want to call it that, a lot of agreement there, a lot of users potentially also. And so I think that active and verified people, famous people, they still will be rewarded with this blue check mark. And if beyond that point you're saying you want to feel that you want to have that feeling of the blue check mark yourself, you want to, make clear that your Facebook account is your Facebook account, or you want to make clear that this Instagram account is your Instagram account, then I think, Meta now gives you the option, but because Meta doesn't see that necessity of having average Joe running around with the blue check mark, they will only provide it to the average Joe when you pay for it. And I actually think that is kind of okay, because again, I agree with Meta there. I don't see the necessity for the average Joe either.
If our tech review is valuable for you, please give us feedback with a like or a comment. That would help us tremendously, and it wouldn't cost you anything. And if you don't want to miss the next episode, just click on the subscribe button. And now, back to the news. All right.
And now, this.
Let's continue with me. I think for the first time I bring something from Market Screener. This time I found some very interesting news from the world of gaming, because game developer Sony AI, in partnership with Polyphony Digital, I hope I pronounced this correctly, Polyphony Digital announces first global release of Gran Turismo Sophy for Gran Turismo 7. And this is very interesting for all of us AI lovers, because Sophy is an AI racing agent in Gran Turismo 7 on the PS5 console. And the Gran Turismo Sophy Race Together mode allows players of all levels to race against this Gran Turismo Sophy, with 4 circuits of increasing difficulty and the ability to challenge GT Sophy in a 1-to-1 race. And this mode also features this GT7's emoticon feature, where then you see like an emoticon above this racing avatar, and this even enhances this excitement of the race. And usually, I mean, AI in racing games or AI in gaming is not necessarily something new. We know that this existed in the past, but usually it was oriented in optimizing your driver to the course. Like if you have a straight line, the car accelerates. But now with this new AI developed by Sony, this one is actually using the same mechanics, the same physics that the human player is using, like the same controls, and is using reinforcement learning to become better and better and learning strategies just as human players. And we all know from computer games in the past that AI is keep cheating usually because it's necessary to make the race more interesting. For example, if you are very, very good and you drive a long way before the AI might become just faster and faster simply to make the race more interesting. And in this case, Sophy is not doing that. She is actually driving like a human race driver and learns how to become better. And she became one of the most successful or most powerful players on this in this game. And so it is very, very exciting to have her in a one-to-one race and actually try to be as good as the most powerful AI driving this game. And I was really, really interested in reading that because we are talking about AI technologies every day with ChatGPT and everything that is changing right now. And now we see also real, like human-like AI in games like Gran Turismo. And so I'm really curious to see how long it takes until we see more of these gamified AIs in other applications, for example, also in VR games where you have then avatars talking and interacting with GPT-3 like capabilities and maybe even learning how you respond and talking to you in a similar way. And I'm thinking about games like Grand Theft Auto, for example, where you have a lot of scripted characters in there. But wouldn't it be great to actually have AI-based characters who remember who you are, remember your style of talking, and like mimicking you, for example. Yeah, so it's very cool AI in gaming. Did is any one of you a gamer who looks forward to trying this?
Yes. As soon as it come to Game Pass, I will definitely do my best. Unfortunately, I'm not fan enough of the Gran Turismo series to buy the game, but I'm a big fan of the Microsoft Game Pass on my Xbox, so I will definitely test it out as soon as I can.
Yeah, for me it's kind of similar. I also I like playing racing games, but usually not these hyper realistic racing games. I like more these, for example, the Wipeout series, where you fly like the spaceship and you shoot rockets and these things. It's just for fun. And I know that Gran Turismo is one of the most successful gaming series ever because it is that realistic. But usually I do not really enjoy this hyper realism because I want just to have fun. But with these new modes of AI introduced, I'm really compelled to try Gran Turismo again.
Yeah, I'm wondering actually if that is really exciting in the long run for, I mean, as we know, and as you said, actually, the AI is learning, right? So with every race, and what we know from the AIs is that they are like getting better and better and better. And in the end, they usually are top of the pop. So it might be interesting actually dealing with the AI in the beginning and having a competition with it, but as it's getting better and better, I could imagine that it's not that exciting any longer because you could imagine who will win the match. And so that's actually what I'm wondering. Is that really, or is there some kind of workaround process that avoids that?
Yeah. It's a good question because we could imagine that there will never be a driver as good as an AI in terms of reflexes and learning strategies and everything. And maybe it is a little bit like getting the privilege of going into a boxing match with Superman or something like that. It's certainly an interesting thing to see, but you do not want to fight against Superman in a boxing ring.
Yeah. That's exactly the point. I mean, perfection creates resistance, so to say, right? And I don't know if that is really exciting if you get into the boxing match with Superman, because you know who will be the winner.
Yeah.
Except you might have like was it you might have like green kryptonite with you, then
Kryptonite gloves, yeah.
yeah, maybe you have a chance. But in this case, as said, so we know from many other systems that the AI is getting better and better and better, and that the result of the game is more or less clear from the beginning then. So that is not really fun for most of the players, I could imagine.
Yeah, it's a good point.
I have a stupid question. First of all, I have a remark. I cannot play it because it's a Sony PlayStation game. Obviously, it won't be coming to Game Pass. I mix it up with Forza. But my second question, that's a stupid one actually. And maybe you mentioned it, and I wasn't just. Maybe I didn't get the point. But so the artificial enemy or artificial competitor that you usually drive against, right? When you do these kind of things, isn't that? Like, is this breakthrough actually that big? Because isn't that always, like, historically an AI that you were running against? I mean, yes, when I think back of, like, the early 2000s, the games that we played there, usually those were just very ideal to keep in that niche of racing games, ideal drives of the circuit that you're driving. And they were pre-recorded, right? So you were more or less racing against the other ghost kind of car based on time and laps that they were driving. But now when I think back, I would argue in the last 10 years, wasn't it always AI by default, just because by default you had to run against a computer system in order to win, just like by default every game is a metaverse kind of environment to build in?
There was always AI included in terms of that you can't script a car on the track because it has to react to you. You are the variable in this game, and so it has to react to whatever you are doing. But usually they follow a certain strategy and for certain paths, and they kind of react more or less stupid, and they are trained in this very particular way. And I think the breakthrough here is that the Sophy, or this new generation of AI, is really trained to be a human driver. So it's not trained to fulfill this very, very particular role. But I could imagine that she gets angry if you keep crashing into her, or you're driving in a very unsporty way. I think I read it in a different article. They wrote about even this sportsmanship, this kind of you could ram the other driver, but you don't do this because it's unfair or something like that. And even this and trying to win the race by being a good driver and doing smart decisions, or driving more or less aggressively. And I think this is what is very interesting here, to see her with these human-like characteristics. And she does not have access to cheating, because in the past the AI was able to simply like change variables in the game to become faster because you were too good, and to make it more interesting, it was then just cheating. In this way, this AI can only do whatever you can do with your controls. Yeah, and so even though this is not really visible to you as a human player in this matter, it makes the game more interesting because you're not aware. I mean, you might be aware, but it's not obviously playing against the computer, but having an AI as one driver, or in the future maybe even multiple drivers with different characteristics. Yeah. So yeah, it's not new that we drive against AIs, but this kind of reinforcement learning AI simulating a human, this is new. All right.
And now this.
Chris.
Yeah, this is I thought quite interesting. I mean, we have spoken lots about DALL-E and Midjourney and so on. So we have this article, Stable Diffusion Startup introduces generative AI for video. So the article is about Runway, actually. That is a New York-based AI video editor startup. And They have developed a software which you can, or with which you can edit visuals also via text commands, as it is common today. So in that case, it's similar to DALL-E and Midjourney and so on, right? But the difference here is that with the model of Runway, Gen 1 it's called, you can edit videos. And last year they have launched the open source image AI Stable Diffusion, which might be known to one or the other. And now this is their new model, Gen 1, as said. And this allows existing videos to be visually transformed into new ones, right? So you have a videos, and you can see that really good in the video, which is embedded here in the article. So you have a video in there, and based on a text command, actually, you can change the scene in the original video into something else, right? So for instance, we have here the examples of, as you can see it here in the article, in the video screenshot, you have a realistically filmed train door, and that can be transformed into a cartoon style door just with a text command, right? And the video just goes on running, and it has more or less the same features. Everything is the same plot, but the visualization is totally changed. There's another one where an actor actually becomes a comic superhero, something like that. And that is really amazing. So the quality which is being achieved here, and the level of abstraction, can even be taken one step further, right? So for instance, you have this example here where they have just a bunch of books standing loosely assembled on a table, actually. And just with a text command, you can say, okay, this is not books any longer. This is skyscrapers. This is a skyline. And Gen 1 actually renders the whole thing then into a video of a skyscraper skyline. And as we all know, in general, the video editing with AI, at the moment at least, cannot yet compete with professionally edited videos. That is for the moment. Because very often we see, and you can also see that here a bit, that contains image errors and crooked geometries and everything. But as with all the other projects, like with DALL-E and so on, this project is, from my point of view, kind of a start, right? And considering the tremendous efforts and effects which we have seen with, in general, image generating AI in the last months or years, it takes just little imagination to see that systems like these actually could play an important role in video editing in a few years, right? And like all the others, like DALL-E and so on, also this one, of course, can be a factor to somehow change the whole creative sector, I can imagine.
Yeah. For me, I think...
Which is...
Yeah, sorry.
Which is a good thing on the one hand, but which also can be a bad thing. So we had this discussion beforehand, Tarek. But yeah, so it will change things.
Yeah, and especially the way we are working. I could imagine, for example, the way of hobby filmmakers. If I now need a drone shot of a city skyline, I could literally build the model how I imagine this on my table with books, and then simply go with my iPhone camera through the books and then describe, I want this to be a drone shot of a night city or something like that. And then I get this drone shot based on the movement of the books on my shelf. I really, really like it.
Yeah, but as said, we had that discussion in the beginning. So that is definitely the cool thing. You can really do lots of visual effects, which you could not have been dreaming beforehand, especially as a private guy. But if we look at the whole creative sector, like with all these AI-based image transformation software, we see indeed the danger that the whole creative sector is going to be, somehow disrupted, right? Because, of course, where you needed 3 designers in the beginning or 1 designer for, let's say, 3 days, now it's okay to have just 1 designer, because with the efficiency of these tools, you do not start with zero. You do not start from scratch. You just start from, let's say, 70% or so. And then as a designer, you do the rest. And that, of course, is a cool thing for the sector on the one hand. But on the other hand, of course, I could imagine that many people are already now thinking of where that might lead in their job careers.
Yeah, it's change. Change is always scary.
Change,
yeah. All right.
Tarek, ending the episode heavy here with that.
It's
change
just a
is
fact.
always scary.
Nah, it's not always scary, but it's, as said, it's like with many other things, right? You have these two sides. I mean, it's amazing what's possible nowadays. So you could do things, as said, which you have not dreamed about before. But I just think that, again, we see that AI has not just a technical impact, a technical implementation. And I'm just not talking about just image AI. It's just AI in general. But it has also like a social implementation, implication and economic implication. So yeah, this is what we have seen in many discussions beforehand, and this is what we will see in many discussions here in TechReview again and again, I'd say.
Absolutely. Okay, yeah. Thanks for your articles. I'm, as always, very excited to hear about everything, and especially all these AI topics that are coming in more and more frequently. So don't forget to tune in next week when we are back with Tech Review episode. I forgot which number we are. 51 right now, and then 52, I think. See you then. Bye.
Exactly. Bye.
Bye-bye.